John, good evening, sir. Thanks for coming on the program tonight.
Hey, Cam, always enjoy it.
You know, it's been a weird week. I've been doing my research every day, and I keep running across these stories. Washington Post has their series, "The Hidden Life of Guns." The newspaper in Grand Rapids, Michigan, has "Guns Gone Bad." Which, by the way, John, have you ever had a gun go bad on you?
I've had some lose accuracy or stop working reliably now and then. It's pretty
I've,
rare. They're usually a quality product.
I mean, I've never had a gun owner come up to me and say, you know what, my gun robbed me at gunpoint today. It just went bad. And then the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel running a piece. New York Times with an op-ed today saying that President Obama needs to sign an executive order to change our gun laws. And you know, there have been a couple of themes to the narrative. One of them this week, John, has been that once again, the United States and our gun laws are to blame for the violence in Mexico.
Yep. Well, as we've been hearing for a couple of years now, this is a favorite narrative which the other side has adopted because crime in the United States is going down despite all of the gun laws that have been repealed or otherwise reformed over the last 20 years.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you can't beat Americans over the head with, well, if you want to make the streets safer, we need new gun control laws here because crime's at a 40-year low.
Right.
So now you look south of the border. But, you know, John, it's interesting. On last night's program, we talked about the fact Juarez, Mexico, just had its 3,000th homicide of the year, which is absolutely horrific. But yet it is right across the border. The Rio Grande separates Juarez from El Paso, which was named the United States' safest city.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know, in the country with the really draconian gun laws, they've got the city with the 3,000 homicides. The country with the relatively good gun laws, in a state with relatively good gun laws, they're the safest city in the country.
Right. Right. No, there's not much to add to that. It just is an absolute. I mean, it's fact. The numbers bear it out, and it's what some of our opponents might call an inconvenient truth.
It is an inconvenient truth, and it's weird that they want us to have our gun laws look more like Mexico's.
Yeah, exactly.
So as you've been reading this in these series, has there been any particular bit of egregiousness that has stood out at you?
Well, I think the most important thing to notice about these stories is that a lot of them are pushing towards the same couple of things. I mean, it's pretty clear we've got three ongoing series in major newspapers: Post, Journal Sentinel, Grand Rapids Press, a lesser newspaper. But the Post themes have been taken up repeatedly in New York Times editorials, so that makes three major papers.
And MSNBC did a big piece on it as well.
Right. And I think that the thing that jumps out at me is the issues in the stories that actually support our arguments. For example, one of the points we've made on abuse of trace statistics in this debate for many years is that if you point at dealers based on how many guns they have traced to them, well, the dealers who sell the most guns are going to have the most traces. And that's clearly true in the list of top quote unquote crime gun dealers, end quote, that the Washington Post obtained illegally, I might add.
Yeah, and that was really interesting, John, because they come out with this list of the top 10 dealers around the country that have had the most guns traced. And I started looking up some of the local stories where some of these dealers are located. And in Jacksonville, Florida, for instance, I found a story where the local police said, "This guy's great. He works with us all the time. We think it's probably because he sells a lot of guns, and when guns get stolen." But it was great to actually see that law enforcement presence saying this, and you kind of wonder why the Washington Post couldn't find anybody that would point this out to them.
Well, I mean, they had some of these stores that were highlighted for their number of traces have been in business for 30, 40, 50 years. And so naturally they have sold a lot of guns, but also you don't stay in business for that long without maintaining goodwill with law enforcement officials and the community. So So yeah, it's not shocking that the dealers that have been in business for the long time and sold the most guns year after year after year are probably going to have the most guns traced. Partly that's because of something that was highlighted explicitly in the Grand Rapids Press article, which is that most crime guns are stolen.
Yep.
Professor Gary Kleck at Florida State University discusses this extensively in an excellent article in the UCLA Law Review last year, and he points out that the stores that are most likely to have the most traces are probably going to be stores that sell a lot of guns and are located in or near high crime areas, because they're located in areas where the guns that they legally sell are most likely to be stolen later. And the Grand Rapids Press article says outright that most of the guns used in crime in the Grand Rapids area are stolen guns. And gun after gun that they talk about in the story was stolen. So I guess that's what they talk about, guns going bad, but I don't think it's the case of a gun going bad. I think it's the case of a gun thief turning the gun to bad purposes. And then the third case of one of these epic series from one of these newspapers making the point that we would like to make inadvertently in their case is the Journal Sentinel series. Journal Sentinel series focused on a little more arcane issue, which is what happens after a gun dealer's license is revoked. And what sometimes happens is that the business gets sold and a new person takes it over with a new license, and sometimes it's a family member. They're trying to keep a family business alive.
Right.
Well, this just demonstrates the need for for one of the key provisions of the ATF reform bill that we've been promoting in Congress for several years, which is to allow penalties other than revocation. What makes more sense? To make people swap licenses around to keep a family business alive, or to have a situation where they can acknowledge some wrongdoing, pay a civil fine, and stay in business.
Yeah, but of course, to the gun control advocates, either the professional ones or the ones who work for the Washington Post and the New York Times, even if a dealer has his license revoked purely because of paperwork violations, that dealer, in their eyes, is evil. Their entire family must be evil, and neither, nobody remotely related to the gun store owner should ever be allowed anywhere near a firearm ever, ever, ever. I mean, it is such an unreasonable and unthinking stance, John, that these papers have taken.
Yeah, I think that is pretty much their stance. I mean, I think that what really what the Journal Sentinel writers couldn't wrap their heads around is the fact that that the law, what the law relates to, is who controls the business. I mean, you presume that the person who controls the business is the one that committed any violations, right? And they don't like the idea. What they don't like is the idea of a store staying in business at the same place with the same name, even if it's controlled by a relative or by a completely different person. They think that there's some taint that goes with the name, and it should be banished from the community, basically.
They're big on cosmetic appearances. Have you noticed that, John? I mean, they went for a ban on an entire class of firearms based on cosmetic features. And now they want to ban gun stores based on cosmetic features.
Yeah, they want to ban the gun stores based on the name on the sign. Yeah.
So what do you? This has been a real full court press in the mainstream media this week. I haven't really seen anything like this for some time. What do you think the end result of this is going to be?
Well, this is all obviously aimed at. I mean, it's no coincidence that all of this is coming out after the election. The Post series started running before the election, and then after the first 13,000 words, they took a break to rest their fingers. But I think it's not a coincidence that with the election having increased the chances of serious ATF reform legislation passing, that it's not a surprise that the anti-gun groups have ramped up efforts to promote their side of the story to the media to try to block that legislation.
Yeah. All right. Well, John, as always, sir, I'm glad you could come on the program this evening to talk with us, and I look forward to doing this again very soon.